Hi, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Marriage Clinic Live. How are you today? I hope you all are enjoying your weekend and happy Sunday. I remain your host, Moralaya Han Oputi. I'm so excited to have you all join me again on this program. I want to assure you that today we'll be learning a lot and your time here will be worth it. It will be worthwhile, I can assure you. So the program has started. I want you to invite your friends. Have a special guest in the house today, and I can assure you you'll be learning a lot, and I mean a lot. So please stay tuned, invite your friends, invite your family, and most importantly, please keep sharing this video so that more people can get to see it, because you know what, this is what we need right now in our nation and even in our continent. This is what we need. So please keep sharing, keep inviting someone, because you are going to be learning a lot. So before we start, I would like to use this time to welcome all our members on Marriage Clinic. I would like to say thank you for always participating, for always commenting and joining us. Every now and then, I would like to say thank you to you all. Also, I would like to appreciate all Marriage Clinic members for always inviting someone, to join the program, to participate. Thank you so much. During the week, we had close to 200 new members joining us during the week. We welcome all our new members. Welcome to Marriage Clinic. We celebrate you. We are excited that you are here. As a matter of fact, I believe that this is need to be, because here you are going to be getting the right information that you need to navigate through your marriage, your relationship, and your love life. And I can tell you that your time here will be worth it. So welcome to all our new members. We celebrate you all. Also, I would like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone who has taken out time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please, it's important you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because some of our guests are not on Facebook, and some of them prefer to come up on YouTube, some on Instagram, and we'll be having a lot of phenomenal guests coming to speak to us about marriage, about relationship, and how we need to do things right. So please make sure you go to Marriage Clinic on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. It is very important. Then yesterday I put out some videos out there concerning how to handle a heartbreak or a major disappointment. I also put out there how you need to manage your emotions and not allow your emotions to override your reasoning. It is very important that you know how to do that. So I need you to go watch those videos, because you will learn a lot from it. And as I always say, this is a resource center. This is a learning center. You will always learn something new. So please have an open mind, because in case you think you've always known how to do marriage, I want you to know that you can always unlearn, relearn, and keep learning. So long human beings are alive, you must keep learning on a daily basis. So back to business. Today we have a special guest in the house, and I mean all the way from the United States of America. They are joining us live today to talk to us about their 32 years marriage experience. And you know what? Don't say, oh, these are white, these are westernized culture, it's different from that of Africa. No, like I always say, marriage is a universal institution. Marriage is the same in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in America. So please have an open mind, rather than keep saying, I have to do it the African way. No, marriage is a universal institution. So please open your mind, open your heart. And the interesting thing about our guest today is that they have 7, lovely children, 7 very interesting children. And what? Guess what? About 5 of them are married, and they have 7 grandchildren, and they have 7 adopted children. Wow, that is phenomenal. I would really like to learn how they have been doing it, because it's like they are out of this world. But I want to believe that they have a story to tell. They have something to share with us that we can learn from, rather than us, thinking, oh, this is how best to do things. So we have in the house today, like I said, all the way from the United States of America, the Dayton's family. So I have here with me Sandra and Shane Dayton. Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome.
Quite the introduction. Thank you so much. We're happy to be here today.
So this is Marriage Clinic.
Yes.
So this is Marriage Clinic, and we are live now. So I would like to welcome you specially to Marriage Clinic platform. This is a platform that is committed to helping to provide resourceful information to people on how they need to know, on how to learn or know about marriage, relationship, and their love life, and how they need to get it right. So it is important that people get it right rather than keep struggling. So that is what Marriage Clinic is all about, and we are glad to have you today as our guest. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and we're really glad to be here too. Sandra and I were speaking this morning just as we were kind of going through some of the questions and preparing, so to make sure our questions would agree. Just kidding. We thought that the thing that struck us the most was, and I thought about this with what you said about whether it's an African thing, an American thing. It is a universal thing, and I think the thing that we also recognize as universal is that as far as the law of love, and that if one of these questions, if you look at it from any other lens other than particularly the gospel love and the biblical teaching of what it is to love, if that's not there, then none of it works. And that's really kind of our summation this spring, was that none of it works. If it's not flowing out of a heart of sacrificial love, it remains really kind of broken. And so we ended up in really kind of a time of confession this morning, saying we need to do better. So that's there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on this program. So we'll go straight to the interview and to the question. So would you like to tell us how long you have been both married for?
Almost 30 years. Which is crazy, because it's like, how could we even be that old? But it's happening.
October 15th.
I know. Almost 32 years. Wow, that's over 3 decades. That is a long journey, actually. So would you like to tell us if there has ever been a time, in this marital journey that you felt like, I don't want this marriage anymore. I'm just going to throw this marriage away at this point, or you just felt like, you needed a break. Would you like to share that experience with us and how you were able to manage the situation such that you both are still together till today?
Well, I guess I'll answer that one. There was a time early in our marriage where Shane kind of came to a crisis in humanity. We had been involved with a church that started having some struggles, and he kind of became like, if this is Christianity, I don't want it. We went the other way. And when we went the other way, when you leave the Lord, you do a lot of things that you wouldn't normally do, right? And a lot of people told me, oh, you need to divorce him. You need to divorce him. And but the Lord never told me to divorce him. And
Mm.
And I never wanted to be out of the marriage. And we know that God is the one that works miracles, and God is the God of reconciliation. God is the God of healing. And why would I not? It says love covers a multitude of sin. Jesus forgave us. Why shouldn't we forgive others? I mean, we could just go through so many scriptures talking about forgiveness and love and but at one point the Lord did tell me that I needed to file for divorce. And I didn't believe that the outcome would be divorce, but I felt like the Lord told me that I needed to release Shane to him, and that I needed to completely hand Shane over to God so that God could work in his heart. And God did.
Mm.
And we have a better marriage than what we've ever had. And was it hard? It was hard. Was it lonely at times? Yes. But Jesus is our comforter. Jesus is our helper. And again, he's the one that restores. He makes what was broken whole. So, but never have I ever wanted to be divorced, even during those hard times. I mean, I love him. That's who I married. I don't want to be with anybody else. You better live a lot longer. I want to live.
Yeah. Okay. Does Shane want to add anything to that?
Just the only thing I would add to that is that the idea of when you enter into marriage from if you're entering into marriage in a Christian context, you've already devoted your heart and life to God. The marriage is part of that devotion to God, so it can't ever be separated. It's not like I can say, okay, I'm going to take this part of my devotion to God and put it over here and cancel it because it didn't work out. It's part of my devotion to God, so it can't be taken out. If somebody says that something is optional, then they haven't understood the covenant of God. And now, of course, there's broken covenants everywhere when we deal with this. But if we're asking what God wants and wills for us, it's one He wants us to be together, and we shouldn't think about it in any other way other than that. And so, really shouldn't. It's we don't even like to use the word. I mean, it's in the dictionary. I suppose we have to use the D word, but we don't ever use it.
Wow. Wow. Okay, thank you. Then over the weekend, I heard Sandra saying, "Oh, I and Shane are going on a date." And in my mind, I was wondering, what? Going on a date after 32 years in marriage? I mean, I usually hear that younger couples go on a date, or maybe people that are planning to get married. So do you want to share with us how come you both are still going on a date even till now? And how has that helped to strengthen your relationship?
You want me to answer that?
Well, we can both answer. You answer.
Yeah. So I think, that's something that we haven't always done very well. I mean, and because we've always had a lot of children and activities around us, it probably was even that much more of a need to be able to get away and have time alone together. But actually, as the older kids, my first set of kids that got older and began to babysit. This is after we were already taking care of having foster kids and other children in our house, and so a date became kind of our older daughter's gift to us on a Thursday night. Say, watch all the rest of the kids on date, and you can go out. And so we started doing that a few years ago, kind of on Thursday nights, right? So, but we really now we learn to very much appreciate it, and it's kind of our little escape time.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that is that one of the reasons I married him is we like to have fun together, and life is hard. And there's a lot of hard things, a lot of serious things. And you need to. I really feel like you need to go and have that a regular time, even if you can't do it every week, maybe every 2 weeks, at least once a month, where you just have time together and you go do something together. We also get away around our anniversary time. We try and go for about 5 days to the beach or something like that. And that's really nice
Wow.
too, because you get to break away from work, from every other thing, and you just get to enjoy your marriage, enjoy each other. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in all the stuff you have to do every day. I take care of the children, I have to go to work, I have to cook, I have to clean, all the things, and we lose. God wants us to enjoy life. It is hard work, but He wants us to enjoy each other and enjoy everything He's given us.
I think that's the thing. It's about enjoying one another. And when you're thinking about things we do, I mean, and I've always heard this. I think it's always made sense. That we're not human doings, but human beings, and so our lives are not supposed to be made up of the things we do, but who we are and who God's put us with, our families and the people that are closest to us. Are we going through life not really paying attention to everybody that God has given to us to enjoy with one another, to grow and to have that relationship, and as a part of our growing experience? Or are we just trudging through doing stuff? I think that is really the truth for a lot of us that we have to recognize is happening, and put our phones down, put these things down, and look into each other's eyes. I mean, not just our wives, our kids, but the people around us. These are the real gifts that we have.
Wow. Thank you for that. Okay, so this question is actually for Chain. So it says here in Africa, the men believe so much in ego. So, and of that ego, the men would say, oh, you know what, as a man, it's forbidden, or it's not right for me to do house chores, or it's not right for me to go to the market to shop with my wife, or it's not right for me to do house. You think about that, because I remember staying with you both in your house for about 2 months plus, and during my stay with you, I saw how Shane would go to the kitchen and make some food, even serve his wife breakfast. And in my African men can do this because they will think something must be wrong with this man. Now, yeah, seriously, because they'll say, no, a whole man must not, go to the kitchen to cook, must not take the garbage bin out, must not do this, must not do house chores. How do you think men should be of great support to their wives with chores at home, and even assisting them to do things? How have you been able to handle that?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question, and it makes me think about all the various cultures we have around the world, and even in Christianity, Christianity within those cultures, having different ideas about things that So I don't want to get into a thing where we're kind of pitting one culture against another, because we've got a lot of things that we do that are messed up over here too. So I mean, it's not like anything like that. So just that I don't not what my experience has been. Of course, it's been an American experience, all I've ever known, but it's not an American experience is not in line with the biblical experience. You have to lay down your, and this is the thing that we heard this morning, and it really impacted me. That, Jesus called, he laid his life down. He's laid his life down for all of us. He's also called us to lay our lives down and to follow him and to lay our lives down and serve one another. And he's given us the example of the biblical, the bridal of Jesus and the church is the picture he wanted to use to describe what would be the ultimate in relationship, the ultimate in of service and love towards we're talking about being lifted up into God that way. This is marriage is picture of that. And so if I love my wife, I'm just expressing the heart of God, the heart of Father God, and how He lavishes love on her. It's just being done through me. And but I honestly, I get in the way, and I can mess that up. And that's more of the problem is I need to be in line with the will of God and the heart of God, and let Him do through me what He wants to do. Because honestly, I'm selfish. I'm grumpy. I'm lazy. I'm a lot of things that don't want to do what's love, what is loving. God wills that we do love, and that's the amazing thing. And I want more of it. I want more of Him and more of His love being expressed through me. And I mean, that's really what makes. That's what gives the gospel credence. That it's true. That there's something that you can see that's different than what the world has. I mean, believe me, I'm flesh and blood, born of the things of this world too, and I had to be born again to get something that was different than that. And we all, there's no other way to have something different with one another than what we have. Because all we have is we need something that we have. So, other than that, I think it's just love. I don't know the American way or the African way or whatever, but we all have to work it out though before God.
Can I add to that?
Wow. Yes, please.
We were just going through some scriptures this morning, and just, it was really convicting. So it's like, oh, we're still like so far away from God's best. And, you know, He says to outdo one another in honor and in love. And if I'm looking at my spouse, looking to outdo in love and honor, wouldn't I want to help? Wouldn't I want to help carry the burden? You know, and that's where He's talking about Jesus laid His life down for us. Why wouldn't I lay my life down for my husband and my husband for me? So that when people that don't know Jesus look and go, oh, something's different about them. There's something different. We were listening to Ravi Zacharias actually this morning, and he was talking about how, you know, the soldiers, the people used to have to carry their belongings for a mile. And so one of the disciples said, hey, so what happens when I get to that mile? He said, you carried another mile. You carry his load a second mile. And he was just talking about that part of wanting to love.
Well, our lives are only our own in respect to that we have the fortunate blessing to lay them down. That's really the thing to do with them that sows life. That is what works for the will of God, and that is counter of how we think. I mean, I was thinking of something else. I don't know what it was, but it's the way men think is, oh, it's what it is. It's not strength, because we think, you know, strength is not what it appears. I mean, our real strength, and this is what Sandra was saying, is that victory in giving someone more honor than they deserve. Maybe we think that more honor than what we might think they deserve, but we're doing it because this is what God does, that He shows honor. And man, that we don't think like that. We think that we win by gaining an advantage, not by making ourselves in a weaker position. But Jesus says, my strength is perfected in weakness. And so we have to learn a different way. We want to know and see the power and glory of God in our lives and in our marriages. And we just want to confess right now, we need so much more of it. We're not victorious. We want to be completely 100% victoriously living on the power of God in our marriage. And that's the only way to have a successful marriage. Anyway.
Wow, thank you for that. So, viewers at home, I hope you are enjoying this program and you are learning a lot. Please stay tuned, because there is still more to come. And please don't forget to keep sharing these videos so that others can watch and get to see it as well. Thank you so much. So this question goes to Sandra. So I remember when I was chatting with Sandra during the week, and I told Sandra that, oh, I'm going to put on the flyers that Sandra has 7 children. 7 children. And Sandra said, no, actually 14. I have 14 children. So, so I know that you like kids a lot. So the question is, so how were you able to raise 7 kids? You know, seven. I mean, 7 kids. And do you think you got the support of your husband? Was he also helpful in raising, you know, these 7 children, 2 handsome boys and 5 beautiful ladies? They are all grown ups now. So maybe you want to share with us how you were able to raise 7 of them and they all turned out well, because you know I was quite impressed with their behavior, their courtesy. They are quite helpful, you know, resourceful. They, you know, they are not lazy children. Even 5 of them are married now. So how were you able to train them, you know, to that point where you can say today that, wow, I'm proud of my children? Maybe you want to share with us.
Well, I wish I had like a book that says you do this and this and this, but just what we mentioned earlier, everything just keeps coming back to the Word of God. And I mean, really, when we got married, I was such a baby. I didn't know how to cook. I'd never changed a diaper. I didn't know anything about anything. I'm surprised Shane married me.
She's like,
But anyways, I think, you know, just really, you have to be in love with the Lord. You know, he says to love him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I did the best that I could back then, just as I do today. I mean, I'm more mature now, but I still feel like so far from God's best. But, you know, I'm not saying that homeschooled is the way, but, you know, our homeschooling was all Bible based, and just really trying to continue to point them to the Lord. But our lives, you know, we have to be following the Lord. Otherwise, what did the children see? They see something different. They see a hypocrite, you know. But honestly, it's just God's grace. We made so many mistakes, and you know, now with our next set of kids, we're like, Lord, help us with these children. You know, because the Bible does say that we have to wrestle out our salvation with fear and trembling. So even though we may live as perfectly as we can for the Lord, each one of our children has to wrestle that out for themselves. I really believe a lot of prayer for our children is important, and honestly, the dads. I mean, the dad is the spiritual leader of the home, and I think as wives, we really need to make sure we're giving them time to be in the Word, time to be in prayer, time to be in fellowship and learn from your pastor or elders. I really feel like that's important, so they can stay. And even when we see our husbands in a time of weakness, you guys think about Moses when was it Moses?
yes, Aaron.
Yeah, where they were fighting the battle, and as long as Moses had his arms raised, they were winning the battle. But his arms started tired, so they went and held up his arms. So when we see our husbands weary or weak, how do we hold up their arms? You know, they're giving them more opportunity. You know, just whatever it is. Each situation is different, but how do we love our husbands so that they can be all they can be in the Lord?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful picture, you know, and that's another thing I thought about in some of the cultural pictures and things I was thinking about as I was reading through your questions more while. You know, we can even within in a marriage, you can take scriptures that would kind of support a man's view. You know, this is how you're supposed to behave. Read these scriptures. You know, and then the wife can say, "Well, honey, did you read these scriptures over here that say this about how you're supposed to hear me?" And so we're not. So when we're doing that, we're looking from the wrong way. You know, we should be looking at how can we express the love of God? How is it written out in His Word that it tells us how to do that, express the love of God, and there's plain language there about how we love one another, how we prefer one another, and that my wife I cherish her as someone that is better, greater than, more value than myself. But if I'm not, but that's one thing to say, and another thing to really live, because we're naturally just the opposite of that, and that's why we have to look at the scripture through the eyes of the, well, through the eyes of the Spirit.
Like to add one more thing. Is that too? Is we have to be careful not to be religious, like just doing something out of tradition, but really going to the Word of God. And that's something I pray with our little children. Lord, help us to love you. Help us to love you. That we want to be in union and fellowship with Him all day long. Because, like Shane's saying, I could take all these rules of the New Testament, but then not have the heart of Jesus behind it. And if I don't have the heart of Jesus, it's just going to fall. You know.
And one more thing, more. I'm sorry to get short time here, but just think about the kids too. And how they develop and how they they grow up to know the Lord, or into their own walk. So much of that, thinking about the dad's role, and thinking about God's role in our lives as we're developing, we're learning. It's he's there's a so I lost my train of thought there, but there's he's developing something that he's wanted to see blossom, and yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there at the end. I lost your thoughts, but
I do have one more thing to add on this question. When Shane and I got married, there was people in the church, and we found a family were like, we like their marriage and we like their children. Right. We're going to be your friend, even if you don't want us. We don't know what we're doing. And so I really feel like that's important, to put yourself with older married couples, not just with people your age. I mean, that's fun and stuff, but you need to be around people that already have experiences, that have already experienced hard times, difficulties in your marriage, and they've been raising children, so that they're modeling, and you can follow some of the things that they model, and so figure out, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? Like, you know what? That couple has a beautiful marriage and they have wonderful children, and we're going to go be their friends.
Seeds is what I was trying to. Thought I forgot it earlier. That we're doing stuff that takes time to blossom. With our children, we don't want to just like have rules necessarily. This is how you act. We're trying to invest in them to where what we have coming out of them is organic, so to speak. It's coming out of them because they've been invested in by having a dad present in their lives, speaking to them, spending time with them, which is we learned later that through my failure in doing that, when my kids were sort of suffering because they lacked direction, they didn't know who they were because I wasn't speaking into their life. I got busy in a season of my life where I got real distracted with business and stuff. So these are things that really the devil will really, we think we're doing good. Build the taking care of our family, and realizing my kids the enemy's been eating at their heels for 3 years and we didn't even notice. So we have to be careful and cognizant of these things. And sometimes it takes failure to learn these things. So unfortunately.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that question well. So this question is actually for both of you, but you can take turns to answer it. And that has to do with the fact that some of your kids are now married. I think 5 of them now are married. And in a way, I can say that the 5 of them married like their best friends, so to say, because I can see they are happy, with their marriage. And as a matter of fact, as I now, some of them already have kids, such that you now have 7 grandchildren. Now, what role did you play in helping to ensure that your children got it right with their choice of who to marry? Yes, it's important to talk about that, because at times some parents believe that I don't need to be involved in the choices my children make. After all, they are adults, so whatever they want, it's fine. But I could remember when I was with you in the house, at times you will invite Olivia there to say, Olivia, you know what? Come over, come over. We are having we are having dinner this evening. Please come. You know, you tell Joseph's fiancé, please come over, come over. At times you say, do you mind if we all go to the grocery together? So I want to believe you were doing that deliberately so that you can get to know the kind of person they are relating with or that they want to spend the rest of their lives with. So how were you able to guide them and to ensure that the choices of whom to marry was a good one for them? How were you able to do that? 5 of them now.
Wow. That is
To that.
yeah. Well, this is well, I don't know how it works in Africa or anywhere else, but besides here, and even here, it's pretty messed up. But as a father, I've been involved. I've married 3 daughters. So, which marrying the daughters is different than marrying off sons, and that's a different subject.
Yeah.
But it just feels different in a lot of ways. Um, but you're still entwining a family together that's going to change and that has eternal consequences, really. So it's something that has a little trembling for me, and I've learned a lot. I think that what I would probably say at the very form of this, if I'm talking to another dad out there, is that we have to, as much as you know you're right about something, as much as you see clearly that something maybe is off or wrong or misplaced, or they're not, or your child is not hearing you when you're trying to explain to them something that you're seeing. You really just have to be patient and humble. Honestly, you know what? Because God is teaching us something in this situation right now too. And this, I mean, we married 2 of them last year, and it was rough. I mean, it was on me and my heart and everything. It was just a lot emotionally, but just and they're both different circumstances, and both required all the grace of God to know how to lead. It's not because I do have the answers. I have intuition, I have instinct, I have these things, but and sometimes a real word from the Lord that I can say this is good, or no, that this is not good, and so, but you still have to be able to communicate those in a way where people, that you can't just say that you assume your child is going to say, oh yeah, you're right, Dad, that's true, and automatically agree with you. It doesn't work that way, because they're like you, a human being that has to process and think and wonder and question and wrestle, and so we have to be patient. This is really what I'm learning, is that even though I might want to grab a hold and say, listen, baby, this is what I want you to know about this guy, or this is what I'm feeling. I've done that, and I think all of it's okay, but you just have to do it with your hands like this before God. Say, Lord, you really, we need you to help us in this, because honestly, I don't know. I have a limited and clear understanding than my child does, obviously living for as much longer on this earth as we have, and that's what we want them to be able to appreciate. See that we're not some people just trying to ruin their lives and tell them how to live, but that we have wisdom and things that they might really should listen. That might be really good idea for them to take advantage to know right now, before that needing to have that. And so, but it's just something you just have to say, God, we need your help on this, because there's no straight answer. There's no, honestly, my last daughter got married. I don't mind saying this because she would be okay with it. But it started off rough. Jonathan, I love him. I did not like him at first, and I did like him a lot. But we had to work through some stuff, and it didn't work out the way I thought it should have. But you know what? It worked out the way it should, in the way, and it's really been a real blessing for so many of us. And for me, I've learned so much through that. Chloe and I are just really, our relationship is much closer to that, and so we just, man, God loves us. He wants to show His love to every single part of our lives, and we just have to let Him. It's,
Mm. Mm.
Everyone's different. All of our kids are different. So Shane actually picked out Lee's wife. So
not on purpose. I mean, I did on purpose, but
from the Lord, and then Joseph knew somebody from high school, so we already had a relationship with her, and and then Hannah met somebody from Levi and Olivia's wedding, and but each one of them was different, and like some of your own children, and with one of them we're like, wait, because we felt like our own child needed some time to grow before entering into the covenant. And so, but it doesn't mean they go, okay, mom. Okay.
and they might not. The honest truth is, they might not, and that's okay, because we've just done what we felt God has put in our conscience to do, to communicate, to say, because honestly, if we ask ourselves, listen to everything that God's instructed us the first time He told us, or was it like the 110th time He told us? I mean, I'm just I know I'm so stubborn that way, but so we just have to just speak the truth in love. Let God be the one who makes the difference and does the work in our hearts. And if we do that, we save ourselves a lot of stress and heartache, because we can't really do anything anyway. It's just
pray. Trust the Lord with all your heart.
I know.
All of our kids' spouses, we just love them all. They're amazing. Like they said, you learn as you go through these things.
All three of the suitors for my daughters all came and sought me out and asked for my blessing before they started dating, and which is that's not traditional American way. People thought that was weird, but within most within Christian culture, though, it's still seen, and I think
that's important.
Yeah, I do too. It's just, there's so much blessing and favor and the authority of God that wants to come down. Like God, that's how He did it. That's how He made it come down through those blessings that way.
Okay. So thanks for that. So this question is actually for Sandra. So how were you able to manage with having in-laws from different culture and probably from different parts of the world? Because I want to believe that your in-laws are many, considering the fact that you have 5 kids who are married now. So what's your relationship like with your in-laws? How do you see them, and how have you been able to manage that relationship with them, considering some of them come from different parts, of the world, or from a different culture?
So you're talking about my kids' in-laws. Is that what you're talking about?
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the parents,
the
parents of the persons your children are married to.
Oh yes. We love all of them, and we don't have really close relationships with them, but we all get along really well. I think really what the biggest adjustment is more like, usually our child is here with us for Christmas, but now they have to alternate, and it takes a little while to adjust to that, but again, it goes back to, are you a Christian or aren't you a Christian? All of the in-laws are just really like for Thanksgiving here, we always have Thanksgiving on Thursday, but some of my in-laws will have it on Saturday.
American holiday.
Yeah, it's American holiday, but it works really well, and honestly, all of my kids' in-laws treat my kids so wonderfully.
I think it's more of a struggle when you first get married, and like when we got married, my wife's friends, and from my mom.
Yeah.
She was first married. I always kind of feeling like she was under the watchful eyes of the mother that is she wasn't a lot of it was imagined, but you're just insecure as a new wife, and so. But I think those relationships were more challenging, I think, than what we experience now in in-law relationships.
I think that's different from person to person too, because since I was so immature and so young, I really didn't know how to be a friend or anything. And so, but when you come into a marriage and you're a little bit more mature, it's like, no, you want to love your in-laws. I was very close to Shane's dad, and I'm very close to both his mom and his stepdad. I love them so much. And I think just initially when you first get married, there's that figuring out how those relationships work. And sometimes the husband has to say, wait a minute, mama, she's my wife and this is how it's going to happen. And then things smooth out. Because sometimes moms still want a mom and they want a mom that, and which is fine, but you have to be able to talk through things. Just love each other.
How is the in-law question really relevant? And that seems, for me, an interesting question to ask. Is that something that you guys particularly find a conflict over there?
And he is asking in Nigeria, is there something where families are close to their in-laws or not close to their in-laws?
Okay, so well, in Nigeria, it depends. So you have some that are close to their in-laws, but you have some that are usually at war, and I mean at war with their in-laws. They don't get along. They don't want to see the in-laws.
I lost her.
Yeah, you're frozen. Need to talk.
Apparently so.
You're frozen in case you can hear us.
Okay, sorry about that. There seemed to be a poor connection, internet connection somewhere. So sorry about the break. So like I was saying initially, that in Nigeria it depends. So we have people who are close to their in-laws, and they have a good relationship with their in-laws. But there are some that they are at war with their in-laws. They don't like to see the in-laws to come to their house because the couple believe that in-laws are a problem. They are third parties. We don't want them around us. So the relationship can be so bad that it can even affect the couple's relationship with each other, because we've seen cases where it's in-laws, that made the marriage eat the rock, because the father in-law could say, oh, you know what, that girl, she's too rude. Or the mother-in-law could say, oh, you know what, that your husband is so mean, he can't take care of you. So as a result, we don't want him for you anymore. So it's different stories, different dramas. So that is why I'm asking this question. How do you see your own in-laws and how do you relate with them?
Oh, yes, we're close. My parents have lived. They live in the northern part of the United States, so Shane wasn't as close to them, but his parents I've been very close to. But it just again, it makes me think of a scripture that what do? We overcome evil with good. We overcome evil with love. And so I think it's something though as a couple that if they're still the parents are still being you know saying rude, just whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. They're married. And that I think
Yeah.
sometimes the child needs to say, look, we want to be close to you guys, but you can't come over here and say those things. So if you're in that, we want you to come and have supper with us. We want to go to the park together, swim together. Not only if you time. So I think sometimes the children do have to say those things.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have 10 minutes more. So we have to wrap up in 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask the last question, after which I will give you and Chain time to advise the men and to advise the women. So the last question is, so I noticed that Sandra likes to adopt a lot of babies. You know, I've seen you, took care of babies, that even from Africa, Hispanic, from all over. I mean, you've taken care of children that are not your biological children, and you take the care of them so well as if they are your own. I remember, that your big boss, you know, you will put them in the bus, with their car seat and say, you know what, let's go shopping. Oh, I need to get this for this baby. And in my mind, I'll be wondering, but this child is not your biological child, yet you are treating him or her as though you gave birth to that child. So what is your motivation? Why are you doing that? Because it's very rare for us to see such in Africa. People see other people's children as, oh, that child is none of my business. They don't see other people's children as their own, and that, oh, if a child needs care or needs to be taken care of, I should be able to offer help if I can. But they just feel like, oh, that child is not mine, so I care less, what happens to the child, even if the child goes hungry or things like that. So what is your own motivation? What is making you adopt and take care of other people's children?
Well, that's there's a lot to that. So let me, I don't know. We have with foster parents. Never one time did it enter my mind that we should be foster parents. When someone came and spoke at our church, and it really kind of spurred us to: are we really walking? Are we really serving in our community? Are we helping broken families? Are we helping children? And not everybody's supposed to be a foster parent. There's some people that their ministry is more for the homeless community or just whatever it is. My gifting isn't the same as your gifting, or we laughing. But after that woman came and spoke at our church, Shane said, let's just take the classes and see what God has. And then, so we fostered over, I think we fostered 22 children. And we usually did sibling groups because a lot of people can't do siblings. And I had been looking into international adoption just because it seemed like there was such a need for that. And I always wanted to come to Africa. And that's why I'm like, anywhere, Lord, anywhere. That wasn't what God had for us. We started fostering, and all of our children went back to the parents. And again, with anything, you kind of learn as you go. And so as we fostered more and more, it became not just a ministry for the children, but a ministry for the parents, because some of these parents didn't ever have anybody say that, I love you, and you're precious in the eyes of God. And so that's the thing, is we need to see not people based on, if they have money or what their color is, or if they're just our personalities click, that we all belong to God. And so we have to see everybody as Jesus sees everybody. And so we need to see them as precious. God made each one of us so precious. Anyway, so fostering, and we have taken a break for a couple of years. Isabel was really sick, having seizures, and our last set of kids went home, and we didn't know if they were going to be safe. And we had a friend that worked at a halfway house, which is people coming out of prison, stay in a halfway house for a while. And he said, I have a mom there that her kids are going to be split up. Would you guys get relicensed? And so we were actually on our way to the prayer room. We got to the prayer room and we didn't tell anybody. And our pastor read something, a scripture out of Revelations. And he said, I really feel like somebody has an open door to walk through it. So we called our agency in the and a week later we were placed with Mercy. She was a little over 4 pounds. But so now we've adopted her and her sister and her brother, and we've adopted 2 other girls, 2 other sisters, and another one in December. And it, you know, it's not anything that we did. It's what God gave for us to do. And but we try to make our home, like with all the craziness going on in the world right now, that neighborhoods, the teenagers know, the families know. There's apartments at the end of our street, and there's a lot of troubled families there. They know that they can come to our house if they need a place to stay, if they need transportation. They know that this is a place where they can be loved and they can ask for help. So, anyways, but yeah, we do love kids.
Network. I think you should stay. Okay, thank you for that question. So in 1 minute or in 2 minutes, Shane, please quickly tell us what advice do you have in order for them to do marriage differently? And also Sandra, in 1 or 2 minutes, what advice do you have for the women in order to help do marriage differently? Please, let's go.
You go.
So I was just gonna, he wants me to go first. I would say that the biggest thing that you need to do is to be in love with. And if you need to get up at 4 a.m. to have time in the Word and in prayer and to cover your family and to have time with Him, that's what you need to do. You have to make time. And you know, He said to the first of what we have, so we should give Him the first. Otherwise, you know, we know Satan's out like a lion and seeking who he can devour. So he's ready. Like, so we need to be ready, especially. I mean, especially. Times it's kind of it's getting harder. Things are getting harder to be a Christian, but you need to be in love with Jesus, and you need to be having time with Him every day, and it overflows.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, I think for me the word that first comes to my mind is a word that is not typically viewed as a manly word, and that's humility. You know, Jesus said, the Word of God says that He gives His grace to the humble, and I need His grace. There's nothing else I have. As much as I might think, as strong as I might feel like I am, as accomplished, as much as I might understand, I need the grace of God in my life to be who I want to be as a husband, as a father. To live out the purposes and will of God in my life as who I am. All that whether at work or in my church community, the neighborhood, and my family, it all has to be the same thing. It's not separated into like, this is my job, this is my life. It all belongs to God, and we are His stewards. That's it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sandra and Shane, for coming on Marriage Clinic platform live. Thank you. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for that informative and educative time with you. We've learned a lot. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. We hope to see more of you again. My regards to the children, the grandchildren, and the many foster kids that you are taking good care of. I pray that God bless you and reward you richly and greatly. Thanks for coming.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we have come to the end of today's program. Please keep sharing this video. It's important for us to share so that many more people will see it. And please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Till we meet again, I remain your host, Marlai and Obuti, and I say bye-bye.